All right, and here we are with part 3, again back with building a fitness program with James Roberts, the former Paralympian, and he is going to do what he does best as the podcaster for the Mindset Game and talk to us about our mindset and mindfulness regarding our lifestyle change. Welcome.
Well, I brought this up in the other two parts, Cordelia. I think it's a very big proponent, and we talked about this off air. I think we've had this massive shift within the fitness industry. It used to be two-pronged, very much focused on just fitness and nutrition, but now you've got that three-pronged attack now. It's very much the trainers, and I think maybe the greater society at large is looking at how can I improve every facet of my life. So I think mindset has been there in the background. I think with me specifically as the example, I may have not called it mindset. We'll say maybe even 10 years ago. I would say because I've got my background in sport, I think we kind of acknowledged the mental aspect is a big proponent of the outcome straight away. So I think it's very much encompassing with the physical and both nutritional aspects of what being an athlete is. You're going to have those facets, and generally the winner, and anybody ends up winning gold medals, is being able to accomplish all three of those. And that's probably the difference. I think, and we talk about it at the elite level, it's probably the probably the most overwhelming factor between winning and losing is that 1% upstairs. And it's okay, we call it a 1%. It's probably bigger than that as you go down the echelons of sport. But if you can get that right, be it you give it 100% in nutrition, sleep, all facets of what is to be a good athlete, at the end of the day, if we can, and obviously if you can overcome injuries and kind of steer clear of them altogether, you, not all honesty, but at the end of the day, you would probably end up winning, because if you've got that mental capacity to overcome pain more than the next person, you're going to win. So it's very much looking at it, and I did bring it up in both the fitness and nutrition one. It comes back down to instilling habits, which is a mental component.
Yeah, and talking about injury, as I mentioned in the fitness one, so the instance where I decided to run half of my 5K, I still injured myself, right? But even with that, do you think, because I know that I'm not a runner, even though I prepared this time, do you think that was maybe somewhere it could have been my mentality is telling me, oh, you're not really a runner, right? So
that's a difficult one. I think from probably a psychological perspective, you could probably come from that from two different avenues, because if we come from it from a negative perspective now and say, well, you haven't, I won't say the right attitude, but you are thinking in the wrong tone of voice, because you don't perceive that you are a runner, and as a result, hypothetically, you got injured. Well, you don't know that for a fact. It could be anything. It could be that, if we look at it more from a positive, could it be the footwear? Could it be the terrain? It could be all sorts of other factors that contributed to you getting injured. So it's looking at it more from a reflective point of view as to why did this outcome arise.
right, that's a really good point, because you were saying it could be the terrain, and I'm now thinking about it, and I did misstep at an incline, right? So it could have been terrain, but I'm just thinking, like in general, I feel like sometimes the injury can be brought on you said negative or positive, right? Mindset going into it. And just to give you a little bit more information on this, in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, I practice, so I'm going to run this time, but I'm not going to run that much, you know? And actually I did quite well. And then I was, just before I hurt my ankle, I was like, am I halfway yet? You know? So, you know, that's why I'm saying that's a good point. So it's not so much that I had a negative mindset. It's just, you know, I was like, I'm not really a runner. I don't really intend to do the whole thing. So just watching for the markers to see if I was in the right spot, you know? So let's talk a little bit more about mindfulness. And when I think of mindfulness with regards to lifestyle change, I think about in a moment of weakness, right? It's mid-afternoon. You did the right thing in the morning. You ate really well up front, but you just want to have a donut. And you know it's wrong. So like walk us through how we should use our mindset and our mindfulness to overcome that.
I think because we look at it like that, you kind of, and we brought it up a little bit with the nutrition. It's very much, I'm thinking what I did in the morning is positive, and then having that negative outlook on the donut. It's like, well, it's in the grand scheme of things, and I've been asked this multitude of times, but in different contexts. What do I do if I bring this example up? What do I do if I'm going out, but I'm on this, I think it was, what was it, a week challenge for changing habits? It's like, if you look at the grand scheme, it's one meal out of, forget my maths right now, 28.
Right.
What's one meal going to do?
That's true.
Nothing. So it's changing that mindset from the get-go to say, well, and I think, okay, as you progress through and you're looking at it through a microscope now, yeah, okay, that one meal in the day will make a difference. But if you are, so to speak, bang on for, say, breakfast and dinner, if we look at it from a calorie perspective now, you are fine with the calories, and you are able to eat the donut, and it falls within your calories for the day. Why are you actually demonizing it, the food in the first place, and putting so much pressure on yourself to not have it, and then kind of have that spiral of stressing out because, I know I shouldn't have it, but I want it. And then in most cases, when we want something, we're going to do it anyway.
Yes. That's really great, because I talk a lot about reframing perspective, and I'm pretty sure that my listeners are going to greatly appreciate what you just said about not demonizing food. And it really is about that, right? That's a part of mindset too. Food is food, really, in the grand scheme of things. And the other thing is, I feel like in the middle of the day, I usually have dessert, because that's the most active part of our day, right? So if I want to have, I don't eat donuts, I have to be honest. But if I do want to have like a chocolate mousse or something like that, that's really my lane. I would have it like 2:30 in the afternoon, for sure. And I would be fine with that over having that a proper lunch, right? So that is another mindset thing. You're right. So food is food. Now, as far as the routine of like, we hear a lot about having a morning ritual or having an evening ritual, and I saw a recent post you did about sleep. So I am more inclined to encourage an evening ritual, because that's what makes the next day great, I think. So tell me, what is your thought on the morning versus evening ritual?
I think we've touched upon this a little bit off air. I think if you can institute a ritual that suits your lifestyle, be it if you are better, I don't know, it's very much time. What are your time constraints? Are you able to fit it in the morning? without having to, I don't know, rush around, so you having to set off, or you haven't, you're very much like me. I'm not a morning person anyway. Do you have to get up earlier in the morning to fit it in, or like you say, would you be better placed at putting it later in the day or in the evening? So it's very much finding that balance between, I want to institute these rituals, but where would it be best placed in my life?
Right. Knowing yourself. That's a really good point. You have to understand what honors you. So what if you have been disconnected from yourself from a long time? What is your take on journaling to find yourself?
Well, I think that's the best way, because you can look at it. I think the better way of doing it, and to start off with, is to probably look at your day from the get-go and say, well, what specifically went right, sorry, or what went wrong, and then you can kind of reflect upon, well, what can I do better by looking at these two, well, quote unquote, positives and negatives. How can I improve it? So I think us as a society, we are easier to look at our negative to improve that, but less so inclined to look at the positives and how we can improve those as well. But so it's making those are habits. Well, how can you improve your positive, and maybe go a step further? And it's okay. Trying to make your negatives catch up, but I think it makes you think, maybe sometimes out of the box. Well, how could I do this task, or whatever may have arisen that day better? And I think you very much look into yourself. Well, you may question things a little bit differently, and then you're not challenging yourself. Oh, I think the one most people do, it's the negative one. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, and you kind of dig yourself a hole. And it's maybe from that, by journaling, you've got it down on paper, and then you question that. Well, that's not true.
Right.
I am able to do this. I'm not. Well, what would be the wording? I'm an idiot in this circumstance. Well, if you really delve deeper into it, maybe certain circumstance may have been the case, but in the grand scheme of it, are you? Probably not. So it's very much, it enables you to question things that I think in the spur of the moment you probably perceive as true.
You know, that's another reason, like, I encourage the journaling, just exactly what you were describing. When you brain dump and you see like the facts of what's really happening, you know, you'll be surprised at how much more positive is happening, right, than the negative. Because when we're just standing and with our thoughts, we're only hearing the nots and the I can't and the impossible. But when we're looking really at the facts, you're seeing like, wow, I'm amazing, I'm outstanding, I'm incredible. And so that is the value of, I think, helping you to reframe your perspective and your mindset in a moment, as opposed to, you know, like, you'll be there thinking, you know, there's no way that I'm going to be able to, you know, implement any kind of ritual. But if you've been journaling for the past week and you see that, well, for one thing, I've been journaling for the past week, right? And for another thing, it's like, and I've been doing some things consistently. Because I'm pretty sure you hear this a lot. A lot of the women I work with, they're like, oh, I'm not disciplined. Do you hear that a lot?
Well, that's not true, is it, from a
It's
woman's
not true.
perspective? Because discipline, well, in most cases they run the home. Well, that's discipline. Because if they didn't do it, things wouldn't get. In most cases, things wouldn't get done. So that's discipline from the get go.
Yeah, right. So it's absolutely untrue. And, you know, this is something that we need to stop telling ourselves. Is there anything that you would like to add on the point of mindset and mindfulness?
I think, and we touched upon this briefly off air. It very much comes down to be mindfulness and mindfulness. It's implementing, and I use this analogy of a bookstore, a bookshelf. It's picking and choosing ideas, rituals that you are best suited to your needs. It's going to change from time to time anyway, and thus you're able to put around your lifestyle. So what our rituals if we compare and contrast each other will be massively different. There's going to be obviously overlaps, but it's picking and choosing obviously what is going to help you best in this moment in time, and not looking at the grand scheme of things. I think a lot of people perception of mindfulness is that it's very spiritual. Well, yes, it's the root essence of it, of meditating, is true, but you don't need to go and sit in a corner and have candles lit. You can do meditation however suits you, and it's very much, you could do it like you put it, like journaling. You could think of thoughts. It's very much a brain dump in itself, but you're not writing anything down, but you could probably combine the two. There you go. You've done some form of meditation. You've got rid of everything that weighted on your shoulder on that specific day, and then you're able to relax.
Yeah, that's so true. And we do tie ourselves to certain ideals, right? Meditation is, we're sitting in a corner like some, spiritual person, but it can be simple. And, for some people, it can be moving meditation, like journaling or dancing or something like this. So that is a great way to close this series. I appreciate you, all your wisdom and your time, and sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much, James.
It's been my pleasure, Cordelia.